Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2021 Jeep Wrangler, we're going to be showing you how to install the Demco Tabless Base Plate kit with removable arms. Before we get into that though, let's take a minute, check it out, and make sure it's going to work for you. Before we jump right in, I figured it'd be beneficial just to touch base on probably the most asked question when it comes to setting up a flat toe, and that's what are the main parts I'm going to need. So you're going to have a total of 5. Your base plate, which provides us with an attachment point to hook our tow bar up to it. Tow bar connects to the front of your vehicle, to the back of your coach. Third main part will be safety cables, and these are just there in the event of an unlikely disconnect. They're going to keep everything paired together. Fourth main part will be your tow bar wiring, and this is going to transfer the lighting signals from the back of your RV to the back of your Jeep, keeping you safe and legal. And last but not least, the 5th main part will be a supplemental braking system. And what this is going to do is apply the brakes in your Wrangler whenever you hit the brakes in your coach, bringing you to a safe and predictable stop. Here's how your setup can look whenever you are all hooked up to your motorhome and getting ready to flat tow. And I like it. You know, everything's clean, organized, easy to get to. You can take a quick peek back here and make sure everything's set up the way you want it to be and so on. I do like the fact too that they give you some bracketry that will allow you to mount up your wiring connector and your breakaway switch, which just helps kind of speed the process up, and you won't have to get creative and make your own brackets and everything when you do go to put the base plate on. Here's what the front of your Jeep can look like whenever you're not hooked up in flat towing, which I think is important because you're not always going to be pulling your vehicle behind your motorhome, right? And honestly, I think this is probably one of the better looking base plates out there. You just see your attachment points here, and with them being square, kind of matches the look of the Jeep. Compared to some of the other base plates, you'll have a whole visible bar that runs across, but honestly, you know, when it comes to putting accessories on a Jeep, none of them really look bad. It's just going to be kind of your personal preference and what you think looks the best. When you are ready to, you know, hook up to your motorhome, pretty straightforward. You'll have these caps here that you can remove, which I think is a nice touch. You know, I think it looks better and helps keep dirt and stuff from getting inside of there, wearing it out. But you'll pop that out, and you can take the removable arm, put it in, you'll rotate it about a quarter turn, and then you're going to have a pin that you can put through there and lock it in. Same deal on the other side. And with these in, we're going to have the attachment point that we need to hook our tow bar up. Once you have, you know, your removable arms installed, you set everything up. This is essentially a kind of a direct connect style here. So you line the end of your tow bar up with the removable arm there. Put your pin through, put this pin through, and you're in good shape. Safety chain openings are out of the way. Pretty large hole there, so you should be able to use just about any size hook that you might have on your safety cable. And really straightforward. One of the nice things with this setup too is how versatile it is with different types of tow bars. So today we're using the etrailer.com SD tow bar. This will work with Demco tow bars, Blue Ox tow bars, and I believe some others as well. And let's say, for example, too, if maybe you already have a Roadmaster tow bar, all right, and the ends are different and won't directly pair up here, chances are really good that there's an adapter available that'll let you just change the end out and pair everything up without having to buy a whole new tow bar. Other than that, at the end of the day, you know, a good all-around base plate, looks good, easy to use, works with a lot of different tow bars, so really can't go wrong. One thing I really do want to emphasize is it's really important to use the drop-down menu in our fit guide to make sure you're getting a base plate that's going to fit with your particular Jeep. Now this one works with a lot of the different submodels and everything. Kind of hard to go over every single one just because there's so many, but you know, depending on the submodel or what type of bumper you have and things of that nature, that could dictate if this will work for you or not. So really be thorough and check that out and make sure you're in good shape. As far as the installation goes, it's really not too bad. You are going to have to pull the front bumper off, which is pretty standard. for base plates on Jeeps, but everything's easy to get to and shouldn't really take up a ton of time. That in mind though, why don't we go ahead and get started on it now. To begin our installation, we're going to be here at the front of our Jeep, and we're going to need to remove our bumper. So the first thing that we'll do, we're going to have a couple of fasteners right here in this opening that we can get removed. Here's that fastener. It's a push pin style. You're going to have one on each side of your vehicle, and from this point on, whatever we do to one side of our Jeep, we'll also do to the other, because it'll be set up the same way. But to get these out, you can just take a flathead screwdriver, pry up on the head of the fastener, and then you are able to pull that whole base out. Underneath of your front bumper, along this edge, you're going to have a total of 8 push pins, so 4 on each side. And with these, they work the same way. Just pry under the head, and you can pop the base out. Once you get all them push pins out on each side, you're going to have a single 8mm head screw. And both of them removed, and then we should be able to drop this down and set it off to the side. Just over here on the passenger side, we're going to have an electrical connector, and we'll disconnect it by pushing down on the center of that tab and pulling the 2 ends apart. We can remove the nuts holding the bumper onto the frame of our Jeep, and so you're going to have a total of 8 nuts that look just like this. So 4 on each side, and then you have 2 on this side of the frame rail, 2 on the other side. We'll grab an 18mm size socket and get those removed. Something I do suggest, when you take your first one off, just put it back on, a couple of threads, hand tight. That way, if the bumper does want to come off, it'll at least be supported and a lot more manageable to remove. That way it doesn't just fall down. So up top now, I was able to reach back there, get those 2 nuts that I left on hand tight. And the bumper should slide off now, and we'll set it to the side. On the outside of your frame rails, you're gonna have this bracket. We're gonna remove that with a 16mm socket. We'll pull the bolt and the bracket off. So on the back side of these bumper flanges here, the base plate's going to come with 4 of these thick flat washers. I'm going to take 2 on each side, and I just use some tape to tape them to the back of this flange. And once you have them lined up with the holes in the flange, make sure to use a knife or something to punch through that tape. That way the hardware can pass through. This is something you don't absolutely have to do, but I've found it helps in the past getting everything back together when we get to that point. If you see our bumper flange here, how the brackets don't line up perfectly with it, that's pretty normal. You could take something and kind of try to bend them back over a little bit more, or I'll take a bit like this or a drill bit. Just kind of open it up a little bit. And that'll just make everything go back together a little bit smoother. We'll grab our base plate now. And this is going to just kind of slide in like this. And if you remember that bolt that we used for our factory bracket right there, the bracket's not going to be reinstalled, but you want to take that bolt and just lightly get them started on each side. That way the base plate will be supported while we work on getting the rest of it set up. The side of your base plate, this large hole here, you can see it lines up pretty good with that one there in the frame. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to make it easier if you open that hole up a little bit. So just take a little bit off there. And what we're going to do, you can take this bolt that comes in the kit, and you want to put on some blue Loctite. And all the hardware that we use to secure the base plate will receive this blue Loctite. Eventually that one that we left in hand tight, once we get some of the others secured, we'll pull that out and put the Loctite on it as well. But this is just going to push right through like that. What's going to connect to the back side of that bolt is this handle nut here. So this is going to get pushed up in through an opening to the back side of that bolt where you can thread it in. It's a little tricky to get to. What I like to do is take a pair of vice grips here, preferably the needle nose ones, and that just gives you a good handle to hold on to and make this a little bit easier. You can take that handle nut and go in right through the bottom. Let's work it in place and we'll get it lined up here. Once you get this thing lined up, it's really not too bad if you got these pair of pliers. We'll just get this hand tight. So we'll get our base plate snug, but we want to make sure that it's going to be all lined up. So I'm just taking this pry bar, kind of putting it through, making sure all the holes are, lined up there, which they are. And I'll probably just leave it in here, honestly. But we'll tighten this bolt down using a 19mm. It'll stay in place there, then we'll switch out to a 16. We'll pull that one out, get our Loctite on there, and tighten it down. We'll go ahead, grab a torque wrench now and get these pieces of hardware completely tightened down to the amount specified in the instructions. I was able to get our safety cables installed, and you can find your own way to do these if you want. It's pretty simple. You just need to make sure it wraps around the base plate and then connects to the frame or wraps around the frame. I just kind of doubled mine over the base plate, brought it over, and then used a D-link to connect it to the frame there. We'll go ahead and grab our bumper beam now. Get this lined up and put back into place. With the bumper put back in place, all torqued down and everything, we can get our underbody panel trimmed out here. So there's a diagram and instructions. You can follow that. And I just marked the corners. And what I'm going to do is take a drill bit and drill these corners out. Come back with a straight edge, connect the dots here, and then we can completely cut the square out. Got the dots connected, and I like to trim this out using a multi-tool or an oscillating tool. I think it just gives you a good, fairly clean cut, but Dremel tool, probably even a jigsaw, whatever you got will work. It's fairly thick plastic, but we'll get this opening created here. Got those openings created there, and we'll slide this back into position. If you have to come back and take out a little more material, not really a big deal. We'll see what happens here. I was able to get our underbody panel in place and resecured the opposite way that we removed it. I did have to enlarge the openings a little bit more just to make it more manageable, to get it in place and everything. And my measurements We're about 7.5 inches wide and about 4.25 inches tall, just to give you a reference there. And you can use this bracket too. This bracket actually comes with the base plate. You can mount it up to the side here in the middle, kind of wherever you see fit. And that'll allow you to, mount up some of your other components, your breakaway switch and your wiring connector. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the Demco Tabless Base Plate kit on our 2021 Jeep Wrangler.
First things first, have you towed before?
No.
Okay, so as of whenever you are hooked up, there's no more reverse. You can't reverse.
Okay.
Don't know if you heard that or not.
I have, yeah.
Okay. When you are not towing and you would like to just drive around,
Yep.
you can actually take these out.
Okay.
Just twist and pull out. And then you can get some like tabs or something to put in there, and because see right now it's a little moisture in there.
Yeah.
You put the tabs in there and there won't be any moisture or dirt or anything getting in there.
Okay.
So you just push in and twist. And you put the tab back on. Alrighty. And then we go to the actual tow bar. Lift up and pull out.
Okay.
And I'll have you do that side while I'll do this side.
Okay.
Just pull up to it. Put the tab in. Everything's a tab to me. There you go. Lock her into place. See, there's a right way to do it. As long as it's touching, the two pieces are touching each other, then it's on right.
Like that.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. And then your safety cables. Usually we say to crisscross them, but with this one it's already crisscrossed, so you're good there. Put that there.
Okay.
And then your wiring. There's a tab here up top. It's the only part with a little tab. And there's one here at the top as well. It's a little insert. So there's only one right way to put that in. And it has to go behind that little piece there so that it doesn't pull out.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
And then your breakaway switch here. That is, so if you, God forbid, disconnect or anything, it pulls this out and it automatically applies your brakes so you don't go into traffic or in the ditch or anything like that. And it has to be connected directly to the hitch itself at all times because, if you disconnect it or something and you attach it to the wiring, if the wiring also disconnected, it's not pulling that out. So,
That makes sense. This stays on all the time?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, usually people will do it just like that. They'll take this part off.
Just leave it hang like that?
Yep.
Okay.
But that's got to be in at all times. Otherwise, your brakes are not going to let you go anywhere.
Okay. Okay.
Easy enough.
That looks so. Yeah.
It'll get a lot easier once you get to doing it. But
Okay.
also, these will fully lock out whenever you're pulling. And if you're going to disconnect and you need a little bit of leeway, these are actually release the tension in the bar here. You just push that and you'll be able to slide it.
You push that in. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Is there an exact distance from the bumper, or is it just kind of eyeballing? Or
It's pretty close to fully extended right now.
Oh, it is.
It'll only go a little bit further than that.
Okay.
And it'll trek behind at all times. So,
All right, that sounds good.
all right, that's it for the front portion. And then you'll see the little piston on
Yep.
your brake
Yep.
pedal. That'll
Yep.
stay on there at all times. And then tucked back up on this side panel here, there'll actually be a switch box. I'll have a little toggle switch on the side, and it'll say on or off.
Okay.
So when you're towing, obviously it always has to be on in order to get your braking system to work. But that's literally all you have to do. Flip it on, and it's working.
Okay.
Jeeps are the easiest. I love them so much.
Or like just the whole trailer situation, you mean?
For flat towing,
Oh, okay.
because
That's good to know.
it's literally get it into neutral, get the transfer case into neutral, put it in park, and you're done.
Good.
All right. So
Like every Jeep ever. So yeah, transmission in neutral,
neutral. Okay.
and then it is a little tight. You might have to struggle with it to really get it down there, but get that into neutral.
Do you know when it goes in there?
Yeah, this one will light up here.
I see.
So you're in 4 high.
4 high. So over.
There you
Okay.
go.
Okay.
And then now put it in park.
Okay. Vehicle movement. Okay.
And it will because you're in flat tow.
All right.
And then you're good.
Brake off, that on. Okay. And then when you're getting ready to take it off, turn that off. And then is there a sequence or move this
Yeah, you'll put yourself back into neutral.
on this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you would put that into whichever one you want. I guess 2 high is the typical one.
Okay.
Fight it. Push it, push it.
Really? Okay. That's neutral. High.
There you go.
Okay. All right. I think I got it. You got to let it up. And then now it's back engaged.
Yep.
Okay.
Neutral.
Okay.
Transfer case is in neutral.
And then back to park.
Put it back in park.
Brake off.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I gotta have a brake off.